What's going on, Omnibuddies? Mitch here, and today we are doing another Omnibuddy overview. What are we looking at? Well, what are we talking about today? We are talking about Jeff Lemire's and Andrea Sorrentino's latest drops. We are talking about two books, 10,000 Black Feathers and The Passageway. All right, so these two books, this is the latest drop, volume 2, I guess you could call it, in the Bone Orchard Mythos, which is this expansive, overarching universe that kind of sort of ties all these books together, or kind of will tie them together. As you look at these books, and you know what, in this overview, if you're expecting to find out how these books tie together, you're going to be very disappointed, because I do not like spoilers or anything like that. I try and stay away from them as much as possible. So you don't have to worry about spoilers in this, but they do tie together, and you know what, maybe not super tightly, but they do tie together at the end, and you kind of figure out how they begin to tie together. And I'm very excited to see how these continue to tie together. But Passageway came out last year as of making this video in 2022, I believe it was. Something like that, end of last year. And then 10,000 Black Feathers just came out about a few weeks ago, maybe a month ago, something like that. But they're about the same size, as you can see. We'll kind of compare them a little bit later. But these come to us from Image, and honestly, Jeff Lemire is one of my absolute favorite creators. He wrote some of my favorite books, like Essex County and Underwater Welder. Freaking phenomenal books. Lemire is just on a whole other level when it comes to storytelling, and I freaking love his art too. So I'm always disappointed when he's not on art, when he doesn't like do his own books, doesn't you know, when he's just the writer and he's not the artist on it. But you know what, Andrea Sorrentino's art and Dave Stewart's colors are chef's kiss. So good. All right, you know what? I'm just talking and blathering now and just droning it on. Let's take a closer look at these books. All right, so here we have the two hardcovers, The Passageway and 10,000 Black Feathers. And I will say, to start things off real quick, there was a free comic book day prelude to The Passageway, or really Bone Orchard Mythos. It was from, I believe, 2022, so it's over a year old, but you should be able to find it. I think you can actually find it for free. I believe I remember Andrea Sorrentino posting about a free PDF download for the prelude, so you could find that out. But I keep mine tucked nice and safely. Not the greatest for the binding, but tucked nice and safely in there. So these are the two hardcovers. They are not oversized hardcovers. They are, here we have an oversized hardcover, Royal City, also by Jeff Lemire. But you can see just scale-wise how big they are. Obviously, they're more the premier hardcover format. If you're familiar with premier hardcover, oversized hardcover, deluxe hardcover, same thing, deluxe and oversized hardcover generally. But yeah, so that's size-wise. You can see thickness, how thick they are, but yeah. So not super thick. Took me about maybe an hour and a half to read through Passageway, and a solid hour and a half maybe. I'm a slow reader to read through Black Feathers, 10,000 Black Feathers, because it is a little bit thicker, so we can kind of get that in focus there. So yeah, there's the spines. This is by Image. The Passageway retails for $18, and 10,000 Black Feathers retails for $20. Probably a little bit of inflation, but more, it's, you know, a little bit thicker, so $2 more, you know, there you go. But yeah, so let's get into it. This is the, both of these are a part of the Bone Orchard Mythos, which means they're kind of in this this mythos, this universe that is interconnected in many, maybe not so many ways, but it is interconnected. We'll get rid of black feathers for now. We'll take a closer look at the passageway. Here's the back. And it is definitely in the horror mystery genre, but not. It's more creepy than it is anything. But take a quick look at this Free Comic Book Day Bone Orchard Mythos, which is very much a prelude to some of the stuff going on in the passageway. So I won't go too much into that. Kind of gives a little bit of a ish backstory, but very cool. It definitely is worth hunting down and checking out if you can, but it doesn't take away anything from the Bone Orchard Mythos. It only adds. So if you can't find it or can't get that PDF download, definitely don't stop yourself from reading it. I read the passageway first and then went and read that. And I'd actually recommend doing it that way too. Read passageway first, then go the Free Comic Book Day prelude, and then go back or move on to 10,000 Black Feathers. So again, this is published by Image. It's Jeff Lemire on story, Andrea Sorrentino on art, David Stewart on colors, Steve Wan's letter and design, and Greg Lockard is the editor. And this kind of kicks off. It definitely has that creepy vibe where it is a lighthouse, and yeah. So some dude is going to a lighthouse, and he's got to check things out and see what's going on. And he immediately meets, he immediately meets a creepy lady. And if that, yeah, so, yeah, he goes out there and he's investigating a giant hole in the ground. Well, not a giant, like, width-wise, but it goes on for only God, or I guess the devil, knows how deep. But he is there to investigate and find out what's going on. And very quickly, all hell sort of breaks loose. You know, he's trying to use technology to discover what's going on with a drone, and then, you know, doesn't exactly work out so well. And so he has to, you know, stay the night, obviously, because it's a creepy place. And that's when it gets super creepy. I mean, come on, check that out. Crows and bleeding eyes and little children calling for mom. Like, come on, seriously, does it get much creepier than that? But I will say, story-wise, it's obviously short, so it scoots along really quickly. I'm already halfway through the book, and I'm feeling like at this point I can't say much more without giving away too much. And dang, the story's so good. It's intriguing. It's creepy. It's well-paced. The dialogue isn't clunky or anything like that. It is, in my opinion, some very much peak Lemire, and along with peak Lemire, we have peak Andrea Sorrentino. His art is so good. I mean, he fits this very subtle detail into the faces, into their emotions, where, you know, at first glance you're just like, oh, that's kind of a blocky face, but then you start looking at it, and this is where I really, really want them to do an oversized hardcover, because the more you get in on this detail, like on this face, you really start to pick up a lot more subtlety in Sorrentino's art. And just, I mean, at first you're just like, oh, it's a broken piece of pane of glass in the lighthouse, but then you start seeing all those ripples and all that stuff, and just a lot of really good detail in there. And you know what, I can't really get too much into anything else here, but dang, I mean, look at Sorrentino's art. Just these thick, gothic Art Deco kind of, I don't know if Art Deco is really the right term for it, maybe it is, but this really thick Gothic look to it. Really, really beautiful and haunting. And I don't want to show too much of it at the end. So we will just kind of go into after that. I will say the page quality is really good. Not sure if you can see through it or not. I've started trying to do a little bit more light testing, so you can kind of see straight through it with obviously with the light behind it. But I mean, it's, you know, with the light behind it, you can see through the pages, and that's a really, really prime example of like black and white on one page and then black and white on the opposite page you can see through. But without a light shining through it, you're not seeing much through that page. I'm seeing a little bit through here, but page quality is great, I think, in my opinion. And the I love the finish on it. It's not totally matte. It's not like this high gloss feel or anything like that. So it's got a really nice look to it with Sorrentino's thick lines and Stewart's really thick colors too. I mean, obviously he doesn't use a lot of color in some of this, which is, I think, a really talented and bold colorist, is to not be tempted to, you know, you're always tempted, you're the colorist, throw color on there. But I mean, look at that. Like, he didn't put much color in there, but the color he did, it like adds this sickening greenish yellow. Really good job. Very crisp, adds color where color is needed, but lets the black and white, those thick lines, speak for themselves. So great job by Sorrentino and Stewart, and yeah, and obviously Lemire. And you have some stuff here about the creators, and then that's really it. Talking about Gideon Falls, which is obviously more horror from Lemire and Sorrentino. Now I'm kind of wondering if it's going to tie into Gideon Falls somehow. That would be super cool. I loved Gideon Falls. I have more. I have an overview on Gideon Falls if you are interested in Volume 1. Volume 2 I'm saving for my Spooktober event this coming fall. So if you're watching this way later on, in, you know, fall of 2023, you might be able to get my Volume 2 overview. But excuse me. 10,000 Black Feathers doesn't really pick up where it left off because they're two totally separate stories by same creators, Lemire, Sorrentino, Stewart on colors, Wands on lettering, and Lockard on editing. So I believe it's 5 chapters, and this one was super interesting in that if you've been following my channel for a while, you know I play D&D, I dabble in D&D, and so whenever books also talk D&D and kind of RPG role-playing games like that, does definitely pique my interest. And so like my overview on Die by Kieran Gillen, that one was very heavy into the D&D type aspects. So this is 2 girls who are meeting, one who doesn't really have much of a home in the foster kids in care system, and meeting another friend who, you know, they befriend each other in school, and yeah, things happen. But it kind of jumps back and forth between present day, probably like when the Passageway is taking place, and past, where, you know, it's going through where they meet. And it does definitely flip from art style, a lot of like almost like finer details and wispier finer details in the past, and then those thick Gothic, more muted tones, colors in the present day. So it definitely does jump back and forth and gives you that artistic cue on which you are in past or present, and goes into this relationship of these 2 girls and the mother, and how they met, their relationship. You know, a pact is made, a world is born. and they kind of get into the world of D&D and, you know, chilling in the basement and making up characters and plot lines and whole worlds. Just absolutely loved that. Kids being super creative, and then all of a sudden it flashes back to present day where one of the girls is maybe losing her mind a little bit, and definitely does not disappoint in the mystery and the creepy factor. I would say that this one actually has less creep factor, as I flipped this kind of a page, but it has less creep factor overall than the Passageway, but it definitely has more to the story, more characters, more dialogue, more relationship building, that is for sure. The Passageway acted in of itself as almost a prelude to the Bone Orchard mythos. In my mind, I know there's that prelude free comic book day, but this is definitely, in my mind, where it really kicks in and begins to kick into high gear. Trying to flip through pretty quickly to not show too much of what happens, but a lot of this plays with, are we losing our minds? Are we, you know, getting too far into this world? And where does imagination and reality meet? And are they separate or are they together? And yeah, so it definitely dips into that and has a lot more family and familial bonds that it touches on, which is very cool. I love seeing more characterization and more story and plot line that way. And then this one also has, Passageway has a little bit more, not Passageway, sorry. 10,000 Black Feathers has some extras in it, which is super cool. It's got this variant cover gallery, a lot of skulls, a lot of death, a lot of creepiness, but very cool art. Dustin Nguyen, Martin Simmons. Yeah, so it's got some really cool stuff in here. Ooh, I didn't notice this one, the Spawn crossover with Andrea Sorrentino and Stewart on that one. Super cool stuff in here. Ooh, Yoko Shimizu. That's a really nice one. I really like that. Yeah, some really cool art in here. So this is a nice cover art gallery, and then again about the creators, and you know, offering up, hit up the Passageway and Gideon Falls and all that kind of stuff too. And then yeah, that is the end of that. So we'll get these both out here. 10,000 the Passageway and 10,000 Black Feathers. Really great stuff. We'll pull this. Oh, it's down here. There it is. Found it. That is the totality of the Bone Orchard mythos. So far, I would say that if you're going to read it in any chronological-ish order, or my recommended reading order would be the Passageway, Bone Orchard Mythos Prelude, and then 10,000 Black Feathers, and then Volume 3 when that comes out later this year. All right, so that was a closer look at the first two volumes in the Bone Orchard Mythos, the Passageway, and 10,000 Black Feathers. Again, I really hope that they collect these into, well, I'm going to be sad because I'm going to have to double dip, but I really hope that they collect this entire series into some nice oversized hardcovers. Image does a phenomenal job with that. So these are obviously a little bit smaller than the typical Image hardcovers. They're just kind of the smaller size, not that oversized. So Sorrentino's art and Lemire's story definitely deserves that giant oversized hardcover treatment. And if they can bring these all together in one or two, however long it ends up being, hardcovers, volume hardcovers, that would be amazing. But yeah, anyways, I freaking love these books. I got through Passageway probably in a couple sittings, and 10,000 Black Feathers I got through in a single day. I did a couple different reading sessions, but you know, like within maybe just over an hour, I was able to get through that one. And Black Feather, sorry, my fan is really squeaky. 10,000 Black Feathers is a little bit longer than Passageway, but they're both about the same size. You can get through them in one decent sitting. Pretty quick, but again, they're pretty cheap too, so you cannot beat that, especially if you're hitting up places like Organic Price Books, using code Omnibuddy for $2 off every order, or if you're buying 3 or more books, hey, you can buy these 2 books and pre-order the third one coming out, I believe in the fall, something like that. You can pre-order that, and then all 3 could come together, and you could use code Omnibuddy, ship it together for 5% off your entire order of 3 or more books. Or you could just order these 2 and a third book, and then wait and pre-order for something else. Anyways, you support the channel, support OPB, Organic Price Books is super good. They ship fast, they're great communicators, their shipping packaging is next to none, phenomenal, so you can't go wrong with it. And their prices, once you use those codes, and some of the states don't have taxes charged, once all that kind of shakes out, you're not going to be paying much more, if any, than any other place in the country. Phenomenal pricing. Anyways, that's it. I'm hopefully going to be doing, I'll do an overview of the 3rd volume when it comes out, obviously, probably for maybe more of a Spooktober event, but had to get these 2 done just because they're so freaking good. Absolutely loved them. Definitely check them out. But yeah, that's it. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the bell for notification, do all those things, but the most important thing to do is comment. I love talking with you all. These are kind of a mystery horror genre books, so let me know in the comments what your favorite kind of mystery horror book is, what your favorite one is, or maybe you know of a good one, maybe it's not your favorite, but of a really good one that is often not talked about. Let me know in the comments. I love finding these hidden gems that people aren't talking about enough. And I know Lemire and these books are pretty well known, but I don't see a lot of people talking about them enough. So let me know in the comments what I should be talking about with these little talked about, seemingly talked about titles. All right, that's it. I'll let you go. Take care. Stay cool.